Beyond the title, reclaiming your worth in a world that underestimates you. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the need to shrink yourself, to be smaller, quieter, less threatening? That feeling, that instinct to dim your light, it's not an accident. And it's certainly not your imagination. Today, I want to share with you the transformative wisdom I've gained from my recent conversation with Ricole Harbin, a visionary force who has dedicated her life to helping women, particularly Black women, step fully into their power beyond the limitations of job titles and societal expectations. Ricole isn't just a thought leader, she's a revolution in human form. Her work has literally rewritten the narrative for thousands of women who were told their voices didn't matter, their ambitions were too large, their presence too disruptive. 3 years ago, I was sitting in a conference room, the only woman at the table, the only person of color at the table. I had prepared for weeks for this presentation. I knew my numbers, I knew my strategy, I had done the work. And yet, when I opened my mouth to speak, a senior executive cut me off with, "Let's keep things sweet in here, shall we?" Sweet, not strategic, not substantive, sweet. In that moment, I felt myself collapse inward. Not physically, my spine remained straight, my shoulders back, but something essential inside me folded. How many of us have experienced that moment? That subtle or not so subtle reminder that the world has already decided who you are and what you're worth based on your job title, your gender, the color of your skin. This is exactly what Ricole addresses in her groundbreaking work. The way we're conditioned to accept less, to be grateful for scraps, to define ourselves by the boxes others put us in. But here's what Ricole wants you to know, what I want you to know. You are more than your job title. You are more than someone else's perception of how safe or sweet you should be in the workplace. Your worth isn't defined by a position, a paycheck, or a performance review. Let me say that again because I need you to really hear it. Your worth is not defined by your job title. When Ursula Burns began her career as an intern at Xerox in 1980, do you think she saw CEO written in her future? As a young Black woman raised by a single mother in public housing on Manhattan's Lower East Side, the odds were stacked against her. The statistics would have predicted a very different trajectory for her life. Throughout her 3 decade journey at Xerox, she faced both racial and gender bias, often finding herself the only woman, and certainly the only Black woman, in leadership meetings. Sound familiar? It should, because this isn't just Ursula's story, it's the story of countless women who enter space not designed for them. But here's where it gets interesting. Burns refused to let others define her potential. She consistently advocated for herself, delivered exceptional results, and this part is crucial. She refused roles that didn't align with her values or growth trajectory. She didn't just take whatever was offered out of gratitude. She knew her worth. By 2009, Burns had become the first Black woman CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Not because she played by the rules others set for her, but because she rewrote them. I want to pause here and acknowledge something. Some of you might be thinking, that's a nice story, but it's exceptional. Lightning doesn't strike twice. But that's exactly the limiting belief that keeps us playing small. Because Ursula Burns isn't an anomaly, she's a blueprint. This brings me to Ricole's second powerful message. Stop playing small. Being overlooked, underpaid, or underestimated is not your destiny. It's not written in the stars. It's not the price you pay for taking up space in this world. I want you to think about Kimberly Bryant for a moment. As a biotech engineer, Bryant had firsthand experience being the only one in tech spaces. But when she noticed how few girls, and even fewer girls of color, were represented in the tech programs available to her daughter, she didn't just accept it as the way things are. Instead, she founded Black Girls Code. Since 2011, this organization has served over 20,000 girls, helping them pursue STEM degrees and careers at top universities and companies. Bryant transformed her adversity into advocacy through entrepreneurship and education reform. That's what happens when you refuse to play small. You don't just change your own life, you change the world. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, that's great for them, but my situation is different. I have bills to pay, I have people depending on me. I can't just walk away from my toxic job or demand what I'm worth. Hear you. I see you. And this brings me to Ricole's third essential message: build outside of survival mode. For too many of us, especially as Black women, we've been conditioned to just survive. Keep your head down, don't make waves, be grateful for what you have. This mentality, this survival mode, it keeps us trapped. It keeps us small. It keeps us from building the lives and legacies we deserve. Consider Minda Harts, author of The Memo. After years of navigating corporate America as one of the few Black women leaders in finance and recruitment firms, Hartz was repeatedly denied promotions despite excellent performance reviews. She was asked to train new hires who were paid more than she was earning. Sound familiar? But instead of accepting this as her fate, Hartz began speaking openly about these inequities. She started blogs, podcasts, and social media platforms before writing The Memo, which offers actionable strategies for negotiating pay raises and promotions while supporting mental health and self worth. Her book became a bestseller among professional development titles aimed at women and women of color audiences. She launched the Memo LLC, a consulting firm supporting DEI initiatives across Fortune 100 companies, universities, and nonprofits. Hearts didn't just survive a toxic environment, she built something beyond it. Something that has sparked national conversations on pay equity and workplace belonging, specifically centered around experiences unique to Black and Brown professional women. This is what it means to build outside of survival mode, to invest in your personal brand, secure economic empowerment, and create a legacy that outlives any corporate title. Now, I want to be clear about something. This isn't about blaming yourself for the very real systemic barriers that exist. The wage gaps, the glass ceilings, the concrete walls, they're real. The microaggressions, the double standards, the unspoken rules, they're real too. But as Rico so powerfully reminds us, acknowledging these realities doesn't mean accepting them as unchangeable. It doesn't mean waiting for permission to claim your worth. When I think about what it means to move beyond survival mode, I'm reminded of a quote from Audre Lorde: caring for myself is not self indulgence, it is self preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. In a world that expects Black women to be endlessly strong, endlessly giving, endlessly accommodating, choosing yourself is revolutionary. Setting boundaries is revolutionary. Demanding what you're worth is revolutionary. And yes, it's scary. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it might mean walking away from situations or relationships that no longer serve you. So, what does this look like in practice? How do we actually implement these powerful insights from Ricole Harbin? First, reclaim your narrative. Stop introducing yourself by your job title. Start introducing yourself by your values, your passions, your purpose. When someone asks, "What do you do?" try answering with what lights you up, not just what pays your bills. Second, practice saying no. No to the projects that don't align with your goals. No to the meetings where your voice isn't valued. No to the relationships that drain rather than fill your cup. Saying no isn't just about rejection, it's about protection. It's about guarding your energy for what truly matters. Third, invest in yourself beyond your job. Start that side hustle. Take that course, build that network, create multiple streams of income and influence that aren't tied to any one employer or title. I want to challenge you this week. Say no when it matters, even if it feels uncomfortable. Speak up when something doesn't sit right. Take one bold step toward owning your story, whether that means updating your LinkedIn headline or pitching your dream project instead of waiting for permission. Don't wait another day playing small. You're not here just to keep things sweet. You're here because you are the secret sauce. I'm reminded of something Ricole shared that resonated deeply with me. She said, "The world will try to put you in a box. Your job is not to fit in that box. Your job is to build your own box. Or better yet, to live completely outside of boxes altogether." As I stand here today, I'm asking you to make a choice that might feel terrifying, but is absolutely necessary. Will you continue to let others define your worth? Or will you stand up, step out, and declare your value without apology? Because here's the truth: the world doesn't change when we accept its limitations. The world changes when we refuse to be limited by it. When Ursula Burns became CEO, when Kimberly Bryant founded Black Girls Code, when Minda Harts wrote the memo, they weren't just changing their own stories, they were changing the narrative for all of us. They were saying, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? Today, I'm asking you the same question. If not you, then who will break the cycle in your workplace? If not now, then when will you claim the life you deserve? Your worth is not negotiable. Your voice is not optional. Your presence is not a privilege, it's a power. So the next time someone tries to keep you sweet, remember that you are also strong. You are strategic. You are substantive. You are spectacular. And you don't need anyone's permission to shine. The revolution doesn't begin tomorrow, it doesn't begin with someone else. It begins here. It begins now. It begins with you reclaiming your worth in a world that underestimates you. Because beyond the title, beyond the paycheck, beyond the expectations, there is a version of you waiting to emerge. A version that knows her worth, a version that refuses to play small, a version that builds beyond survival. That version of you is not just possible, she is necessary, she is inevitable, and her time is now.